Hello, this is Chris from Brothaspeak Podcast, where we talk about Black LGBT issues and topics. And today I have a guest by the name of Mr. Mike Warren. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Chris?
Pretty good. Thank you for being part of the podcast. This is, like I said, we're having a good month because it actually has some great authors, and I'm very excited to actually have you on the show. To kind of tell the audience a little bit about Mr. Mike Warren, you have been in the business of writing books for, I would say, about the past 9 years. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you've written over 30 books.
30 novels and short stories.
Novels and short stories. Now, let me start off by saying, to be in the business of writing as long as you have, it's got to take a lot. I'm pretty sure I know you have a great following that's been actually consistently reading your books. How's the audience really receiving your books through the years? Have you seen differences? Have you seen new audience kind of take on your books?
Well, I mean, there's always an increase of an audience, or at least it should be. If you're writing books, and if you've been writing books for several years, then you find yourself having a decrease, then there's a problem. There's something wrong. There's something that apparently you're not doing.
Right.
So, I mean, I always see an increase, which is a good thing. And, part of that increase not only is from word of mouth, but also doing interviews like this. Awesome.
And to do it, first off, 30 books, that's a lot.
Yeah, it is. I agree, it is. And I was thinking today about that, because maybe I'm just being a hater. I don't know. But there are people who have, let's say, written 5 books.
Yeah.
And they have become known nationwide.
Yeah.
But then you have people who's written 30 books, and they don't have as much of a fan base as those people who've written 5 books. Somewhere along the line, I think that's so unfair.
Well,
but I understand that a lot of it comes from marketing, and there's a lot of money put into it.
Yeah.
I understand it. I get it. Is it fair? No. But I get it.
Well,
because with just as an example, when the young lady, came out, I won't say her name, but it's a book called 50 Shades of Grey.
Okay.
She got about 5 books. She's been on the New York bestseller list. And everybody and their mama has heard about that book. And I'm like, really? Seriously? And what she wrote about, again, is something that I wrote about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's like, why is it that this I'm sorry to say, Caucasian female will write a book about basically being a boy and being a sir, being in a situation of not so much S&M, but being in the situation of a culture of having a sir or Mr. who pretty much dominate you and tell you what you should do and what you should be. And, of course, we all know that for whatever reason, there are some people out here that are like that. Whether or not you're a judge, a police officer, whatever the case may be, sometimes you want to have someone to tell you what to do.
Exactly.
Because that's a matter of, you having to give up your control and be a little submissive yourself. But, the point is that I wrote several books like that 6 or 7 years ago. but are my books turned into a movie? No.
Well, here's the thing. You never know who's listening. You never know who's listening.
Well, I mean, I don't think maybe they want to see an African-American version.
That's true. Okay. That's true.
Possibly that could happen. And then, of course, mine is, looking at it from the standpoint of a gay man's perspective. Because as opposed to it being called 50 Shades of Grey, there's an organization called the SBI, and that organization that organization is called Sirs and Boys Incorporated.
Right.
There's actually a group. I hate to use the word group, but there is an organization that caters to African American Black men who are in this organization called the SBI, and generally you have people who are called sirs or masters, and then you have the submissive ones who are called boys. Now, the term boy doesn't necessarily mean that you're underage.
Right.
The term boy doesn't mean that you are male.
It's kind of funny you mentioned that, because one of the podcasts we're going to be doing later in the coming weeks deals with fetish. And one particular person who actually started the fetish organization with Black Fetish Organization in Chicago, he was actually telling me that when it comes to certain names, they really don't like, Black men in particular, really don't like to be called certain names regardless, and they really don't even take on the role. So it's kind of funny, but that's definitely something that'll be coming up in the next couple of weeks, because I had to be educated a little bit, and the more I found out about it, the more I said, oh my God, we got to talk about that. So I now that you're talking about it, it sounds pretty like what you're meaning here, you're saying here.
Right.
Now, I just got to give people a background. You actually got to receive a master's degree in communication from Towson State University, is that correct?
Yes.
And did you always want to be a writer? Did you always want to talk, particularly about LGBT books? Did you always want to do that?
Actually, I didn't. I didn't grow up, as a kid or as a youth, reading books.
Really?
That's not what I did. I didn't grow up and say, I want to be a writer. That's not how it happened. Actually, this was a fluke.
What?
It was a situation whereby, I think that I've always been a good storyteller.
Yeah.
But, that's just it. I never thought about writing a book. What had happened was, a friend of mine named Shelton had written a book which he self-published.
Okay.
And, of course, wanting to support him, I purchased a copy of his book.
Okay.
And what it was that it was a book of poems.
Oh, okay.
And so I thought it was kind of interesting, because he was HIV positive.
Okay.
And all of his poems dealt with being positive.
Okay.
Literally and figuratively, and so that evening, me and a friend of mine, we sat down and we read his book, and as honest as he was, which I give him credit for, putting it out there and being honest, because this was like 10 years ago, and during that time, everybody knew about being HIV and being positive, but a whole lot of people weren't admitting that they were HIV positive or had AIDS. So he was putting it all out there, and so I applaud him, for his honesty and for putting it out there and expressing his feelings, et cetera, et cetera. However, the grammar and the punctuation was hideous.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it was so bad. The misspelled words. No, don't get me wrong. I mean, I have never read a book that didn't have any mistakes in it.
Right.
Even some of the best writers out here, whether you write it and then you get a editor and then you get a co-editor, and then a copywriter, you're gonna find an error somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, we're human.
Yes, absolutely.
And we are gonna, make errors, and we are gonna make mistakes. So, but anyway, if the errors that you make in your book take away from the storyline, there's a problem.
Oh, I would think so. I would think so.
But now, if you have a misspelled word here or a misspelled word there, or the punctuation of a sentence is not accurate, as long as it's not going to take away, and as long as you can understand what is being written, or what's being said, then you're fine.
So basically, when it comes down to the grammar of it, you kind of figure, well, wait a minute, I could do better than this. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, yeah, even with my books, I've had people, have said everything. Oh, it's fantastic. It's the best book I ever wrote. I ever read. Then I've had people who have said, it's horrible. The grammar sucks. Mr. Warren needs to get himself an editor. So if you go on Amazon and you read the critiques, you'll find all that in there.
Yeah.
However, overall, and the good thing about it is that with all of my books and with my short stories, even combining them all together, I still had at least a 4.0.
That, which is good. That's very, very good.
Out of 5.
Exactly.
I still got a 4.0.
That's good. That's good.
So that's still a good thing. It's allowed me to quit my job and earn a living off of writing, which a lot of authors don't get a chance to do.
Well, see, that's why I wanted to ask you, what do you think it is that people continuously drive to your books, in your books in particular? What do you think is the reason?
Well, not to sound modest or anything. They're good reads. Right. That's the bottom line. I mean, it's a good story. If you have a good story, and as I told you before, a good story consists of a good storyline and good sex.
Well, there you go. I can honestly say when it comes to sex, it's always a topic that never seems to bore people, depending upon how good it is, how juicy the story is. And so even when you came down to your first novel, and your first novel, correct me if I'm wrong, is a private affair. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Very good.
So when it
You've done your homework, huh?
I did a little bit.
Good for you. I'm impressed.
So, what made you write this particular? What was that you felt that people definitely wanted to get the feeling of your first book? What did you want to really convey in there?
Well, as we had talked before, about Elin Harris and James Earl Hardy, them being the godfathers of urban gay fiction, and during that time it was just those two, and I would read their books, and I just could not picture myself as one of the characters.
Okay.
The characters were too feminine.
Okay.
Or either they were too gorgeous.
Okay.
Or they were rich. They would jump on a plane at a moment's notice and go to Europe,
Okay.
And live the life, go to a 5-star hotel,
right?
Go to a restaurant that you had valet parking. I didn't live that life.
Right.
That wasn't me. I couldn't identify.
Right.
Trust me, I understand the whole Calgon take me away.
Right,
okay?
I get it.
And that's what it was. But, I wanted to read about a character that I could relate to.
Yeah.
And so this is where a private affair comes in, because I wanted to write my story.
Gotcha.
And write how I got into this lifestyle.
Gotcha.
Coming up, I didn't go through, puberty thinking that I was gay.
Okay, right.
That didn't happen for me. I had turned 18. I got married.
Oh, wow.
I went into the military.
Oh, wow.
I had children. I led that straight lifestyle.
Right. How long was that? How long did your marriage?
Well, the first time around, it was only like 2 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The second time around was about 15 years.
Nice. Okay. Okay.
But while I was in the military, I didn't know gay people really. Okay. When I first got married, I was 18. You would see, a homosexual sashay down the street, or lived around the corner from you. But, you knew him when you saw him, but he wasn't a friend. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I didn't have a friend as a gay person.
Right.
All of my friends were straight.
Gotcha.
Anyway, so when I went into the military, what was kind of interesting is the fact that, you don't get a room all to yourself. You have to share a room. Even after you get out of basic training, in basic and AIT, you have a whole bay area. Okay. And there are bunk beds, and there's like 20 bunk beds, so everybody shares that same room. Once you get out of basic and AIT, and you go to your permanent duty station, and if you live on base in one of the quarters, you still share a room with one or two other people. Okay. So, when I graduated from basic and AIT, and I went to my permanent duty station, I had roomed with one other guy. And this one other guy was as feminine. He was an inch away from having breasts.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
So I was kind of surprised, and I didn't know how this was going to work, because I thought he would be lusting after me the whole time. How could I take a shower and walk out with a towel wrapped around me, or how could I get up in the morning with my heart on and him not, checking me out, and just the things that dudes do.
Well, it sound like to me the normal heterosexual fears that they normally have, correct?
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. But what changed it for me was he was funny.
Oh,
he was
okay.
funny as hell. He had me cracking up. And that's one thing about me. If you can make me laugh, hey,
you got you.
We'll get along. And so he made me laugh constantly. Okay. And we became friends.
That's good.
And we would hang out together. And other brothers on the base, knew he was gay because he was very feminine. They were like, "Well, Mike, why are you hanging around with this student? And I'm like, well, he's my roommate. And they're like, well, that don't mean you got to hang with him. And, but anyway, I didn't care about all that, because he had actually became a friend, to the point where our friendship had gone from being a friend to me looking at him as a little brother.
Oh, okay.
And so we were stationed at Fort Meade, Maryland, and I live in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay.
So because we were stationed in Maryland, and he was from Omaha, Nebraska, I knew that he didn't know anybody in Maryland.
Gotcha.
And during the week, I lived out on the base.
Okay.
On the weekend, I would come home. And, when I would come home on the weekend, I knew he spent the whole weekend there by himself.
Okay.
And I felt bad, and so I talked to my wife, let her know, all about him, what he was about, and so forth and so on, that I wanted to invite him one weekend, to stay at our house, to get a home-cooked meal, play some cards, just have a good time.
Nice.
And so he did. And that's where it started. I wasn't, at the time, interested in him sexually.
Right.
However, my wife being a churchgoer, ever since she was birthed.
Oh boy.
When it came to sex, there were some things that she wasn't inclined to do.
Gotcha.
And one of those things were blowjobs.
Ah, isn't that always get you? That always get you.
Don't it? Boy, it kills me. Anyway, so, I've had a lot of straight friends of mine who would talk about, how, this chick gave him a blowjob and this, that, and the other, and so forth and so on. And, he was actually able to climax, in her mouth, and how exciting that was, and so forth and so on. Well, I wanted to experience that.
Oh.
I never experienced that.
Now,
I wanted to experience that. So what I did was, I didn't want to mess around on my wife with another woman because I felt as though that was cheating.
Okay.
That makes sense.
This is interesting. Okay.
So I thought if it was with another guy, and all I wanted him to do was to give me a blowjob,
that wasn't cheating.
That wasn't cheating.
Interesting. Okay, so wait a minute. So,
but this was 30 years ago.
Now, wait a minute. Now, I got to ask this question. Was your friend in any way sexually interested in you as well, or?
Yes, he was.
Oh.
But see, that's just it. I after he started coming home with me on the weekend, getting to know my family, and, my family loved him. My mother wanted to adopt him.
Oh, wow.
We had that close bond. I saw him as a little brother.
Gotcha.
So even though that's how I saw him, he saw me in a different light.
Ha.
So what I did was, and I know this made the situation worse, is that he knew about the dissatisfaction that I was having with my wife at home.
Oh, no. Oh, boy.
I talked to him about it, and so, again, like I said, I thought that if it was with another guy, that wouldn't be considered cheating.
Yes.
So since he was gay, and he knew all the guys that were on posts that were gay, those that you can't tell, those that were on the DL, those that were considered trade, since he knew who they were and I didn't, I asked him if he could set me up with somebody.
Oh, wow. Okay, so not only this is a big twist in the whole situation. So he not only introduced you to another life, basically. At that point, he also, he became very acclimated with your family. But how did the situation turn to where did you just simply once you just put your foot in the water, you just fell right into it? Was that the situation?
Well, no. It didn't even happen that way. The first time it happened, it was disgusting.
Oh wow! Okay.
I couldn't even get aroused.
Gotcha.
It was just disgusting.
Gotcha.
And I think it's because I was thinking about my wife.
Yeah.
I was thinking about my son.
Gotcha.
And what I was doing, I knew it was wrong.
Yeah.
Whatever. The second time around, again, disgusting. Now you may ask, well, why did I keep doing it?
Yeah. That is a good question here.
Okay, so after the second time, I said, that's it. Apparently this is not for me. So, hey, I tried it, didn't like it, move on.
Right.
Well, my roommate was seeing this guy named John.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Isn't always the Johns.
John, I know. Well, no pun intended, right? Well, for the sake of not calling him a John, let's call him Thomas.
There you go. Let's do that.
Okay. He was seeing this guy named Thomas, and Thomas was treating him like a dog. I mean, Thomas would get his car, and not bring it home. I mean, not bring it back to him the same day. He would keep it overnight. He may not bring it back for another 2 days.
Oh, wow.
He just treated my friend horribly.
Yeah.
And so I hated him. I hated him for that. Even when he would come around, I would have to leave because I would want to fuck him up.
Wow. Okay.
That's how bad it was.
Right.
Okay, so my friend, my roommate, father passed away.
Okay.
And so he went home to Omaha, Nebraska, for his father's funeral.
Okay.
So I was at the barracks by myself. I got hungry. I went to go walk to the child line, the mess hall.
Yeah.
And who should I run into? Who pulled up right beside me was Thomas.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Oh boy.
And I thought, we were getting ready to throw down. I was ready. I was more than ready.
Wow.
But then he says, well, he asked me where I was going. I told him that I was going to go eat. He said, well, look, he was getting ready to go home. He lived off base.
Okay.
He was going home, and he was married, but his wife wasn't home.
Uh-huh.
But he invited this other guy over to his house to cook him dinner.
Wow.
This other guy was named Harrison, and we all knew that he was messing around on my friend with this guy named Harrison. Because Harrison was a cook on base, and so we all knew that, and that was another thing I didn't like about him, that he was messing around with this other guy, on my friend. But he was telling me that Harrison was fixing this fabulous spaghetti dinner.
Okay.
With all the fixings.
All the fixings, right?
Said, well, all the fixings. So I thought about it, and I was like, well, I can go eat this military crap, or I could go and have a home cooked meal.
So wait a minute, hold on. Okay, wait a minute, Mike. That's
what I thought. I mean, and this is what the first book is all about.
So it's
the word a private affair.
Holy crap! This is a big. So it really was kind of a play off of the real life situation that you were really experiencing at that time.
Well, yeah. I mean, that is what the book is about. The book is about, as I said, how I got into this lifestyle.
Wow.
And the first time didn't work. Second time didn't work. The third time, of all things, when they say third time is a charm.
Yeah. Oh my God! Don't tell me.
Yeah. So I went home with him, like a dummy. And, Harrison was there. Harrison was this big, black, fat dude. I mean, he had to weigh almost 350 pounds.
Oh, okay. Wait, hold on. I can't be against nothing against my big boys. Nothing against my big boys out there. Just so you know.
Big old dude, right? So let me make this a short story. And so we went there. We ate. After we ate, Harrison, was being like the woman. He was cleaning up the dining room and the kitchen, and Thomas and I were sitting in the living room, and Thomas lit up a joint. Back at the time, they were called joints. They weren't blunts. They were called joints. So he lit up a joint. I've never smoked a joint.
My gosh.
But he lit up a joint, and he took a few puffs of it, and he handed it to me. Well, I didn't want to be no punk. You know what I'm saying? So I took the joint. I took a few hales off of it, because I smoked cigarettes at the time. So, I was able to take a couple of hales off of it, and I choked a little bit, and I gave it back to him. And so, we were sitting there talking, not about anything in particular, but I was starting to feel high.
Okay.
I felt like my body was raising up off the couch, and I was floating on air.
You had that good stuff, didn't you?
Yeah. So Harrison comes back in the room, and he sits down next to Thomas. So I'm sitting over in the chair, and they're sitting over on the couch. And the next thing I know, Thomas turns to Harrison and says, "Harrison, do you love me?"
What?
I'm sitting there like, Harrison was like, well, Thomas, you know how much I care for you. You know how much I love you. Why would you even ask me that? Then Thomas says, well, if you love me, go over there and suck Mike's dick.
What in the... Wow. Okay, so wait a minute.
Exactly. And I'm fucked up anyway.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was like, what in the hell? Now, I just knew this guy wasn't going to do it.
But...
really. Really. But, and of course he said, well, Harrison, Thomas, I don't see, why you asked me to do that? That's not right. And you know how much I care for you and da-da-da. So Thomas kept saying, hey, if you care for me, you do this. If you're not going to do it, then no, you don't care for me. And you can get the fuck out of my house.
Are you? Wait, oh, wow.
Like,
okay, all right.
Oh, God.
So basically, so it sounds like to me, this entire experience that really, and by the way, I got to say that you did receive some awards for this book also. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did.
I can see why.
A couple of them. But you know what? But you know the problem that I had, and that was with Uncle Sam. He didn't like that shit at all. He didn't like that at all.
Really? It's okay to say shit. It's all right.
because I had planned on doing some book signings, at a few military installations.
Oh my goodness!
Before you could do that, you have to send a copy of your book to them.
Oh,
and they have to review your book.
Wow!
And I sent it out to about 10 different military installations, and not one.
Wow.
Would have me come in there and do a book signing, because they felt as though, according to my book, every guy that was in the military was gay.
Wait a minute.
And that is not what they were trying to represent.
I gotta ask you, Mike, though, you really thought that was gonna be welcomed very well in the military at that time?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow.
Well, you know what? Because, not that I thought they would welcome it, but I think a lot of the guys there that was still on the DL,
okay,
or still considered trade,
yeah,
or even those that were just gay,
yeah,
I thought that they would so enjoy the book because it gave you some good sex scenes.
Okay.
It was a good storyline, and they gave you some good sex scenes.
So,
sex scenes that you could actually masturbate to.
So when it came down to the sex situation, so really, was it really that the sex that really you wanted to really give to the audience, to make it as graphic as possible or to make it as sensual as possible? What?
All of the above.
All of the above. Wow.
All of the above.
Wow.
And for the record, let me also say that even though Harrison did what he did, that did not arouse me at all.
Interesting.
I felt the same way the first time, like I did the first time and the second time around.
So now you got to explain.
You want to know what did it?
Yes. What?
Thomas went upstairs. I thought he went up there to give us some privacy,
right.
which I didn't need. Okay, okay, But then he comes back downstairs with some lube and that liquid stuff that you sniff in your nose and you get that.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called.
It's called. Oh God! Even I can't remember. I can't remember this, and it's always so obvious. I know.
Well,
I know what you mean.
Fluid stuff.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yes.
Anyway, so he comes down butt ass naked, and and he's holding these things in his hand, and he gets behind Harrison and takes Harrison's clothes off of him. Now, of course, as you can imagine, a big old dark-skinned guy, 350 pounds, with his big old ass.
Oh my gosh!
With Thomas having a fairly decent body. And I'm checking out his body.
Yeah.
And he's getting behind Harrison, and he lubes himself up, and he goes into Harrison, and he starts to gyrate his body and move in and out of Harrison. I'm looking at Thomas, and Thomas is looking at me.
Oh, wow.
Harrison was just in the middle. He was just taking up space.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
I was so turned on.
Wow. Okay.
I was so turned on that and keep in mind, I was still high.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I was so turned on, and afterwards, that kind of bothered me. Two things bothered me. I had a sexual encounter with my roommate's friend.
Yeah, that could bother me.
And I had a sexual encounter with a motherfucker I didn't even like. So I was real fucked up in the head.
Oh my God, I cannot believe this right now.
And I was only 19 years old.
This is all at the age of 19?
Yes.
Oh God.
19 years old.
Okay, so basically this entire book, this entire experience is pretty much documented and well documented in the first book. And so was that also because of the sexual content, because of the sexual experience, did that also bring you over to your second novel, which was Sweet Swagger? Was that also the inspiration as well, or was that completely a new experience?
Well, that was the sequel.
Gotcha.
Because my first 4 books were published by a publisher.
Okay.
Fortunately, I was fortunate enough to be able to sell my manuscript of a private affair to a publisher.
Gotcha.
And they bought it.
Wow.
After that came out, and with all the rah about it, my publisher came back and said, "Well, Mike, you got to do a sequel."
Gotcha.
And again, that's where Sweet Swagger came in. So this was still about the same characters, but it shows their growth.
Gotcha.
It shows the changes that they go through. because even though I felt what I felt and I did what I did, I still would not admit that I was gay or bisexual.
Interesting. So those the entire 4 books, you would not admit or say that you were either one. Now, of course, the following books after that was Sir, Yes, Sir, and Just Make Him Beautiful, correct?
Right, sir. In Sir, Yes, Sir, I had admitted.
Oh, okay.
I had admitted then.
Gotcha.
That I was gay. But from the timeline of A Private Affair to Sir, Yes, Sir, it was about, give or take, a 3-year period. So it took me that long to actually admit that this was not a phase,
Listen, you ain't telling nobody that don't know the experience, trust me. I get it. I totally get it.
But the thing is that for the longest time, even though I may have been considered gay, I still saw myself as being bisexual. Okay. Because what was so funny about it was that I was like a ping pong ball.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is that when I would be intimate with my wife,
yep,
I then wanted to be with a man.
Huh.
And then after being with a man, I wanted to be back with my wife.
Wow.
And I came to the conclusion that apparently I needed to have a man and a woman at the same time. I needed to have a threesome. I needed to have a menage a trois.
Whoa, okay. Wait a minute. So was this something that you actually experienced also during this time?
Yes.
Huh. So you were living the true bisexual life.
Yeah.
How'd you like that?
Hey, I'm gay.
Oh my God. You finally picked a side, basically.
Exactly. And that's been quite some time ago.
Wow. So during this entire experience, you later on you decided to make your own publishing company. Is that correct?
Exactly. And briefly, I'll just say the reason why I did that was because I was having a lot of differences with my publisher.
Okay.
And what I learned about publishing companies is that, to be quite honest,
yep,
the analogy that I could give a publisher and a writer would be the same as a pimp and a prostitute.
Okay, well, wait a minute now. There's a lot of good authors out there who actually have great relationship with their publisher. What was the situation? They didn't really make you feel welcomed, or they just didn't really?
No. This had nothing to do with the relationship that they had.
Yeah.
This had to deal with money.
Gotcha.
See, because the thing is that, if you are a superstar, and if you're well known, okay, one of these huge publishing companies are going to pay you a lot of money to tell your life story.
Gotcha.
If you're nobody, like I was,
okay, and
I go to a medium publishing company, what's going to happen is that they're going to give me a contract, and they're going to say, okay, for every book we sell of yours, we're going to give you $1.05.
Oh wow!
Now, if they're selling my book for $15, and the first one of my book is 10,000 copies,
and you're only getting
they sell them.
Wow.
Okay, I'll get $10,000, but they're getting about 60 or 70 grand.
Wow. I get it.
And the only thing that they are paying outright is the expense of an editor, the expense of a graphic artist,
yes,
and the expense of having these books made.
Wow.
And after the fourth book, I woke up one day and said, I can do what they do.
Of course.
I can do this myself. Why am I going to pay them 90% of all this hard work of me sitting down looking at a blank screen on a computer trying to write the next best-selling novel? I mean, it's very time-consuming, number one, and it's very draining of the brain. When you're sitting there constantly thinking, well, this should go in order. This is how this goes. This is how that goes. This person's name is this. They're related to that person. This was the first person they had sex with. I mean, there's a lot of stuff and notes that you have to write down as you're writing along.
Gotcha. Well, basically, it sounds like, I guess you also, from what I understand, you did make your company around, was it not that long ago, 2014, May 2014, was it?
Yeah, it was around that time, yeah.
Okay, and so how's it been ever since?
Interesting. It's interesting, and I say it's interesting because, so many new writers come to me and want me to publish their book. Interesting. Well, I don't want to publish anybody's book other than my own.
Why?
I don't want to publish somebody else's book and take 80% of their sales. Okay. Because I don't want them to feel the way I did.
Gotcha.
And what I constantly try to tell new writers, hey, you could do this yourself. There's 8 or 9 steps that you have to know, and I can show you those steps, and you can do this yourself. Now, the only difference is this. If you have a publisher, a medium to large size publisher, they can get your book out a lot faster.
Okay.
They can get it nationwide.
Gotcha.
They can get it international.
Okay.
When it comes to you publishing your own book, for example, like Elin Harris did, and publishing your own book, you don't have someone who's going to be able to get it out there nationally. You have to put your books in the back of your car. You have to sell them one by one. You have to go on whatever media site that you can get on, and you have to get your name out there. You have to get your books out there. So what I tell new writers is this. You got a choice.
Okay.
If you want to make all of the money that you do for your book, self-publish.
Wow.
If you're more interested in getting your name out there, then you go with a publisher. But keep in mind, you're only going to get 10% of all those sales.
That is true. That is very
true. And then sometimes it's best to go that route. And in a way, I'm glad I went that route because you know what happened? I gained a fan base.
Nice. Okay.
So once I gained my fan base,
yes,
I can tell those publishers go to hell.
Well, honestly, I think a lot of authors are actually going to more independence. Even one of the biggest ones that I remember several years ago was Stephen King himself. Now, mind you, he doesn't necessarily write books like yours. But when you see someone, a big figure like that, deciding to go independent, and then you're looking at music artists deciding to go independent, well, it's telling you something. It definitely does tell you something that there's more to be gained from going independent than it is anything else.
Absolutely.
Now, I also see here that you have, first off, there's a series of books. I'm just going to throw out a couple of series for the audience here. We have Reckless, which is back in September 8th. We also have Choir Boy 2, Living My Truth, Truth or Dare. We have Man Up. We have Father Like Son, Always and Forever, My Sister's Boyfriend, Chiloboo, Love Don't Live Here No More. You have written, a series, and I see a lot of them were within the year. A lot of them were, like, how many books are you churning out?
Well, that's funny, but like I said, this is my job.
Right.
I write every day.
Wow.
So, there's a lot of authors, they have their full-time job,
right,
where they go to work.
Yeah.
They come home after 8 or 9 hours or whatever, and they're tired.
Yes.
They don't feel like writing, and I understand that. I get it. I did that when I did A Private Affair and Sweet Swagger and Sir Yes Sir. It took 2 years, a year and a half to 2 years for me to finish each book.
Oh wow!
So it does take a while to do that when you only have basically the weekend, and sometimes when the weekend comes. From working all week, you don't feel like doing anything.
That's true. That's very true. That is very true.
But like I said, this is my job. This is what I do. I write every day. So, I try to put out as many books as I can. However, it's again, it doesn't go to the point of quantity. I still want quality.
Yes.
And I think that I've been able to represent that. But it's a little bit for everybody. I mean, I've written a couple of books for young teenage boys.
Okay.
I've written books for those that are in their 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
Okay.
And I've written books for older men who are in their 50s or 60s.
I definitely see that.
I try to write books that all of us would be able to, identify with, because, what a teenager goes through versus what someone in their 30s go through, is totally different.
Absolutely.
As well as, what a 50-year-old man is going to go through being in this lifestyle is going to be a lot different than those that are in their 20s and 30s.
Right.
So there are differences.
Okay. It seems like to me that you're trying to reach all of the genres and the generations to kind of get them to kind of reach them in a certain way, but at the same time, have all your books been very graphic in nature in terms of sex? Have all your books really been that way or not?
Well, not all of them. Like I said before, how many times can you fuck?
Yeah.
How many times?
A lot.
How many different positions? You start to watch porn tapes just to get an idea, for your next sex scene.
Right.
But I guess the first 10 or so books, were fairly graphic.
Okay.
There's sex in all of them.
Yeah.
But it may not be as graphic. And I've cut down some.
Why?
Well, like I said, to me, it starts getting boring.
Gotcha.
And like I said before, as a writer, as an author, if I'm going to write a sex scene, I want it to arouse me. And if it arouses me, I know it's going to arouse you.
Right.
Okay.
That's true.
If I'm writing and I'm writing a sex scene, and because I've written so many, and I'm not getting aroused, now is it because I'm so used to it, or is it because I'm getting old?
well, speaking of rising, so that it sounds like all the work definitely paid off, because it looks like I guess you believe you were nominated and you also became one of the Kings of Literature for 2015. Is that correct?
Yeah. Oh, so you did do your homework, huh?
I told you I'd do a little bit. I do a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I became one of the, it was kind of funny. It's kind of like the Kings of Comedy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was granted the Maryland Browns Literary Association King of Literature Award for 2015.
Wow.
And I can honestly say that I'm the only Black gay writer that has won that award.
Wow.
So
how does it feel so the accomplishments that you've been receiving through the years, how does it feel?
Well, I don't want to brag or nothing.
But
if I was, You're forcing it out of me.
Well, why not? I mean, you have a lot of experience in this,
Take that gun from my head, why don't you? I don't know. What was the question?
Well, I mean, through the years, to receive as many accolades as you have, and to also have a wonderful audience that keeps carrying you through the years. The only place to go really is up from this point. What would be your advice to anybody coming in this game? Because you do teach other authors how to get in the game, like you mentioned. So, what would be the best advice? Because especially to compete against somebody like you.
Well, first and foremost, it takes commitment.
Okay.
If you go to bed at night thinking about a storyline, and you wake up in the morning, can't wait to get to your computer, to write that story.
Yeah.
Then you're not a writer.
Gotcha.
Don't sit down and say, because here's the problem. Everybody and their mama had come to me and said, "Oh, you ought to write about my life story." I know it would be a #1 hit. And I'm like, well, if you think it's a New York bestseller, why don't you write it yourself?
True.
And then they start, I don't know how to write,
Okay.
And so I'm like, first of all, I'm not a ghostwriter.
Gotcha.
I would never do that. Now there are ghostwriters out here that will charge you anywhere from $3,000 to $20,000, to be a ghostwriter. I don't do that. I don't want to do that. I have had other authors who wanted to collaborate on something together.
Okay.
I don't want to do that.
Why? Why would you not want to do that?
Because I don't want to share a byline. And you know what the bottom line is? It's the money.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Gotcha.
What I do. What you do, you do.
Gotcha.
You support me, and I'm going to support you.
Gotcha.
But when it comes to the money, you do you.
Wow.
Because I'm going to do me.
Okay, we can see that.
Yeah. I've had a couple of authors who don't really write sex scenes.
Okay.
But because of the storyline that they're writing, they want a real hot sex scene, and they want me to write it.
Gotcha.
No.
Really? Wow.
No.
Wow.
No. I can't do that.
Have you ever thought that maybe your audience probably would be surprised that you would actually take that route? If you did, would you think you would disappoint your audience, or do you think it would actually?
No, I don't think it would. I don't think it would have an effect on my audience at all.
Okay. It's just
not at all. But with new writers, I try to get them to understand. Keep in mind of 3 things. Well,
okay.
It's kind of like the 3 E's.
Gotcha.
And this is what I go by. And the first one is entertain.
Okay.
The second thing is excite.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the third thing is educate. Now, with all that in mind, which also deals with the sex part, because that's what excite is for.
Right.
I want to learn something by reading your book.
So
if I don't learn anything, what was the point in writing it? What's the point of me reading it? I want to learn something, regardless of how small it is. Maybe a new sex position, something. I want to learn something. And then I want to see growth in that character, because if at the first page this character is this way, and by the time I get to the end of the book and they're still that way, well, what was the point of the book?
Gotcha. Well, then let me ask you this. What do you really believe that your audience takes away from your books?
Well, I keep going back to saying a good storyline.
Okay.
I've had them say that they enjoy the twists that I put in my books. I've had them say that, I should have been a comedian because they're funny.
Okay.
It makes them laugh.
Yes.
Basically it.
Okay.
They enjoy reading it because, they know that they're going to get their money's worth. I mean, when it comes to a lot of new writers, and even some seasoned writers, you can go online and you can see where, you can download someone's book, for free.
Yes.
Or you can get one of those 99-cent deals.
Yeah.
But that is with authors who are trying to make a name for themselves.
Gotcha.
And I get it, and I understand it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying my books are better than theirs.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I have not read their books. But they're trying to get their name out there.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Gotcha.
Well, with me, my name is already out there. Okay. So I don't have to do that.
Gotcha. You're right.
But I don't blame those that do. Because you got to do what you got to do.
Of course.
To get it out there. So, your first few books, even if you self-publish, first few books, you're not going to make any money at all.
Okay. And that's something. So basically, that's where the commitment really kicks in. You have to continue, regardless of whether or not you make $1 or you don't.
Right. Exactly. And the average fan base in which you're supposed to make a little bit of money is at least 3,000 readers.
Gotcha. Okay.
That is supposed to be the average,
right,
of readers for you in order to make a couple of dollars.
Gotcha. So now, leading us up to your new project, what exactly are you working on now?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
No problem.
I'm working on my newest book, which is called Jailbait.
Okay.
And Jailbait is sexual, more sexual than my last few books.
Okay.
Only because of the title itself, and I think that if you're going to write a book dealing with jailbait, well, of course, it has to deal with some form of sex.
True.
So, jailbait. There's this young guy. His name is Quentin.
Okay.
He's 16 years old.
Okay.
He comes from a well-to-do family. His mother is an attorney. His father is a writer. And, he doesn't live in the ghetto. He lives in a very nice neighborhood. But, at the age of 14, and while he was going through puberty, he realized that his body was maturing faster than his mind.
Gotcha.
But yet and still, he was having these urges of wanting to have sex. And it wasn't a matter of him wanting to have sex with anybody his own age, because he thought those that were around his own age was stupid and silly and immature.
Okay.
He always wanted to be with an older man. So he started going out, and one thing led to another, and this is where, he started his sex life. But friends of his have nicknamed him Jailbait.
Oh, wow.
So basically, that's his name, Jailbait.
Interesting. Okay. One thing I want to always make the audience know, something that's actually they can really just take away and say, let me give this author or this blogger a try. Is there any particular book of all the books that you have done that definitely kind of still resonates for you, that still is one of those things that you say, that's one of my best work?
Man. They're all so good. No, seriously. I've had a lot of people always come back and say, I enjoyed your first one, A Private Affair.
Okay.
But I will say with A Private Affair, that's basically been sold out.
Oh, wow.
So you may not even be able to get that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And, that is still owned by my publishers.
Gotcha.
And if they have not decided to reprint it, there's nothing that I can do.
So basically there's a fan favorite, but which one was your favorite?
Okay. All right. Let's see. God, that's hard.
Well, let me ask you this. One of the most erotic ones that you say, even a scene that you can be able to say, you know what, I got to pat myself on the back for that one. Which particular scene that stands out in all your books? Stop you, didn't I? Stop you.
That's hard. I mean, I could say Choir Boy.
Okay.
I could say Church Brothers.
Okay.
I could say Whip Appeal.
Okay.
Whip Appeal, of course, is about this guy who was a stripper. His name is Whip Appeal.
Nice.
I could say My Sister's Boyfriend.
Okay. All right.
I could say Truth or Dare.
Okay. Sound like a lot of work. You have a lot of work.
Yeah. I mean, there's as I said, the sex scenes become less and less and less, but the sex scenes that are in them are good.
Right.
So if you just want me to give you a title of a book with a good sex scene in it, that's hard for me to pick. If you ask me what was my favorite book to write, then I would have to go back and say, well, that would be Church Brothers Part 1 and Church Brothers Part 2.
Okay. So if you were to say one last question, and so far, and like I said, I definitely truly appreciate you doing this interview, and so especially for someone who writes so many books and so many accolades as yourself, if you were to say you were to stop writing right now, what would it be that you want people to remember you by? I'm getting some hard questions now.
Well, people who don't know me would only remember me by the books that I've written.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not quite sure how to answer your question.
Well, for those readers who are already fans of yours, what would you say that you want to be remembered for?
I assume that I have the fan base that I have is because they enjoy what I write.
Of course.
So I don't know. They would say he was a great writer.
Okay.
Well, okay, I won't say great writer, but I will say at least a great storyteller.
Gotcha. Okay, and that's good. That's actually a fair response to be because actually content is king. Content is definitely king, and to be a great storyteller. Be honest with you, you have to be a great storyteller even as an intro for a podcast. You have to be a good storyteller no matter what because it keeps people in and draws people in, and so that's respectable. I'll take that as an answer. How about that?
Okay, absolutely. And for your older guests or listeners, the older gay brothers, I just want to let them know that I have the series called The Cool in You, 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, cool.
That's for the older brothers. I don't know if you remember the song by Babyface, The Cool in You.
The Cool, of course. This is for the. I saw him in concert not that long ago. Yes, I did.
Right. Okay, so that is what I wanted to title the book because that deals with older brothers, and I wanted to write that and give it that title is because those brothers that are, let's say, in their 50s, they don't get the attention that they used to get. And the thing is that we still got it going on.
Of course you do.
Even more so. So I wanted to put that out there for them, and for myself.
Nice.
So for your older listeners, have them check out the Cool in You series.
Awesome. Mr. Warren, I got to say thank you so much for making this podcast a very interesting podcast. Because you definitely have a lot of material that I think a lot of people will love to read, especially when they get those certain scenes that they want to feel a certain kind of way. So maybe they can actually so they can kind of cuddle up with their partners, or just maybe just have one of those private moments. I'm sure Mike Warren will be on the tip of that thought process. So I wanted to,
and that would be great, because I've had a lot of partners who will read my book to each other at night.
Honestly,
you know?
really.
And you know, sometimes they get to a certain scene. You know,
okay.
I find my book thrown on the floor, and you know, they having at it. You know, and that's fine. That's fine. You know.
Oh my God.
And a lot of times I have to tell people, you know, don't get my book sticky.
Oh my God. You know what? Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mike, so much. I really appreciate, again, you coming on the podcast and giving some of our audience something new to actually think about for those who are into that type of reading, which is a little bit on the LGBT erotic side, but a lot of it is also for some of the older brothers, the younger brothers, for those who are on the DL. It kind of reaches all of the aspects of the LGBT community. So on the behalf of them, I would definitely say thank you for being such a wonderful writer, and thank you for taking the time in the podcast to introduce yourself to those who don't know, as well as also get acquainted again with those who actually already know your work and know what your latest work that's coming about. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
No problem, Chris. I had a good time. Thanks so much for your interest in my work. And again, I hope people do check out what I write about, and hopefully after reading one book, they'll get another, and another.
I'm sure they will. Thank you so much. Thank you again. This is Brothaspeak Podcast. We're talking about Black LGBT issues and topics, but in this, we wanted to have a wonderful interview with a wonderful author. Thank you again, Mr. Warren.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.